Hello, everyone. I am so excited today. I have two reasons why I'm excited. Firstly, you clicked on this video and decided to take your time and watch it. Thank you. The second reason I'm so excited is it's the end of the school year. So right now we have summer break and we are just on break, and that is exciting for me. It's been a very good day so far. Like being able to work on myself. But anyway, that's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to compare and contrast the difference between last year's end of school year to this year's end of school year. So I hope you will stay long enough to hear all about my experiences. I will use 4 categories to compare and contrast the differences between last year and this year. The categories are, firstly, how I showed up in my work. Secondly, the students that I had. Thirdly, the team members that I had and the mentor that I had. And lastly, I will compare and contrast the leadership in the school. In my first year, I showed up with no sense of purpose. So I didn't know what my purpose is as a teacher, believe it or not. Although I had been teaching for years back in my country, in South Africa, I still did not know what my purpose is as a teacher. I didn't know that my purpose is to help kids grow academically, help them grow in the way that they think, help them develop language skills, help them, get prepared for the next grade. I didn't know that I play a positive impact and a positive role to my students. Okay, so there's a quote by Dr. Miles Monroe that I've always carried with me since I read his book, The Power and Purpose of a Woman, I think. In that book, he says, where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. And he was referring to men who don't know the purpose of a woman. They tend to abuse women because they don't know the purpose of a woman. Okay, so I think and I thought that, this could be referring also to a lot of things, a lot of areas. When we don't know the purpose of something, we are going to abuse it. If I don't know the purpose of this pen, I'm going to look at it and say, what's the purpose of this pen? If I don't know it, I'm just probably going to break it, throw it away. So I didn't know my purpose as a teacher, so I didn't really show up, And unlike last year, this year I kind of had a sense of purpose. I would wake up knowing that my presence counts. I would wake up knowing that I'm there to serve, I'm there to make a difference, and I am needed. I knew that somehow I am contributing meaningfully in my life, in my world. There were some certain things that I knew that I could teach my kids, and they were always ready to learn. So I knew that I make a difference. There is a sense of purpose that I'm bringing into my classroom, into my workplace. So that is the difference, the first difference. The second difference is last year I showed up less confident. And the reason why I showed up less confident was, of course, it's a new culture. It's a new country. It's a new school. It's a whole new program. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't even have enough time to prepare to really administer the lesson properly in a way that my students will grasp the information or the lesson, because I was worried about getting the technology right. I was worried about what people are thinking. Am I doing it right? I was so worried about how different, about the culture. And so it is so different from last year. This year was so different. I showed up a little bit more prepared, a little bit more confident, because I already know what to expect. So my second year this year was quite different. So I was more confident in how I showed up. I was more familiar with the culture and, trying to understand, trying to understand where I'm at and how I can try to blend myself in with my kids. And I was also familiar with the technology, so that gave me some time, a little bit more time than last year to prepare. So the second category that I would like to compare and contrast is the students that I had. Last year I was teaching 8th grade. Boy, those kids were big. They were tall, I was short. I would look at them like this, feeling so intimidated. They were so mature for their age. They were probably like 13, 14, but the way they reasoned. So I would always feel like I am their age mate. Okay? I would be so intimidated by them. My students last year were very hateful. They would not look at me when I taught, speak, when I'm busy teaching or trying to teach, They would tell me to go kill myself. They would say, stupid bitch. They would call me that. They would say, shut the fuck up, bitch. I'm so sorry. I hope YouTube won't flag me. I don't know how to edit all this. But anyway, but they will say all those things. The B word. They will call me all of that. And I didn't feel like I belong in the school. I didn't feel like I belong in America. I was like, oh my gosh, what have I done? Okay, so those were my students last year. When the end of the school year came, they didn't want to look at me. I didn't want to look at them. There was a lot of hate and resentment. I could have never imagined myself having so much hate and resentment. And I was like, all the time, oh God, I don't want to live like this. I don't want to feel this animosity. Okay? And that's the thing. When you have contrast is the exact opposite of what you desire. When you have contrast, that is the exact opportunity to create something which is the exact opposite. And you can do this by praying to God, saying, God, this is what I ask for. And just having a little bit of faith. I didn't have faith. I was like, this is my life here in the US. I couldn't see further than that point. I was like, oh my gosh. And I cannot go back home now. I'm already here. So I decided that I'm going to make the most of it. And this year I got 6th grade. Woo! My 6th graders healed me. My 6th graders were a source of healing to me. I don't want to lie. My kids, they were so loving. They would just give me hugs. They would just give me candy, letters, draw pictures for me. And, as a receiver, that really felt so good. I remember there was a time in one of my classes, I was not smiling, I was not laughing, I was not happy. So I'm just busy quiet and just handing out papers and trying to explain. And one of the students was like, what did we do to you? He's wondering, like, what did we do to you? Why are you so mad? And I snapped out of it. I was like, oh, no, it's nothing. It's not you. I just had a terrible period with the other class. And then I just sat down. I had students coming to sit around me. And they were just saying, you are a good teacher. Oh, yeah, you are my favorite teacher. Oh, Mr. Pa, you are a good teacher. Don't let those people, like, they were just trying. And then while the other one is speaking, the other one is nodding. But I could just see that, they're just trying to make me feel better. Although, it's not really, But anyway, I really appreciated that. The fact that they have this emotional intelligence to calm and soothe another person. And I was so thankful for that. And that is just one of the examples that my 6th graders healed me. Those kids were so different from last year. I had trauma from last year. But this year it ended well. Last year I received one card from one student trying to make me feel better. But this year I received many cards. And that is when I saw that I made a difference and I contributed well. So, okay, everyone. Now, this is my favorite part, the third category, and that is my team members and my mentor. Okay, so my team members are the people that I teach the same grade with, the same grade, the same subject. So last year, my team member was also my mentor. Okay, in 8th grade, so she was preparing all the lesson plans and helping me so much with that regard. And with her, it was so different. She would be different. Like her moods will be different. So one day she'll be like this, the next day she'll be like that. I remember coming into her classroom one day and I said, good morning. And she didn't say good morning back. And I'm like, okay. So I went to her because she had created a safe environment for me to talk to her about anything. So I went to her and I asked her, did I do anything wrong? Because when I said good morning, you didn't say good morning back. And she's like, just because you say good morning, it doesn't mean that I have to say good morning back. Nobody needs to greet you back or something like that. And I was like, oh, okay, I get it. But that was like the nature of my mentor and I last year. It was very unpredictable. One day it's like happy, lovey-dovey. And she was very helpful. I'm not going to deny that. But it was just like the unpredictable situation. Okay, so let me not go so much into detail about what happened last year with my mentor and come back to this year, because this is the year where God blew my mind away. I talked about contrast earlier on, right? But this year's contrast with this team members, it was on a whole nother level. I had a team member called Mr. Blount. Okay. This teacher helped me in so many ways. His presence in my life was a stepping stone to greater things. He led by example. He led by generosity. Mr. Blount will just knock on my door. I'll be sitting, chilling in my classroom and he'd knock. When I open, he gives me materials. He gives me resources. He shows me, do this, do that with the kids, do this. He would never tire, I'm telling you, from day one until the last day. He was so generous, and he was not only doing it to me, he was doing it for everyone. It's just his nature. When you are in his presence, you feel relaxed, you feel accepted, you feel like you belong. And there was no unpredictable, stuff going on with him. He was consistent and constant throughout the whole time. Sometimes when I feel like, oh no, this is too much, he would never tire. Every time when I go out when I go out to the shops and I see gifts and I would just want to buy him something, and because I can never run out of appreciation for how he helped me this year. He really helped me develop into a best teacher. He really helped me develop into somebody who is capable. His presence was really a gift from God. And I believe that he was sent by God. And sometimes I want to over-appreciate him. I want to, show him how grateful I am. And I can't run out of thank yous. And I remember that, you know what, girl? He comes from God. His help was from God. So instead of seeming weird and wanting to always be in touch with him, rather give praise to God for what he gives. Not to me, O Lord, not to them, not to anyone, but to you be all the glory. It is you who picked me up from the dust and made me sit on the throne of glory. So I have to praise you. I choose to praise you for sending this team member. Okay? So God gives people like that. And my mentor was on a whole nother level too. My mentor was so loving. She had such good energy. She was so helpful. She was always willing, always checking up on us. I remember there was a time when I really had a bad day. And then she just opened my door because they have the keys to our classrooms. And she said, hey, Mr. Pai, I'm here to check up on you. And she said something that made me feel better, even though I didn't tell her what happened. And her words were so comforting. Her presence, her coming to check me up and saying, hello, How you doing? Do you need anything from me? That is the mentor that I had. Whenever I have any questions, she would help me. If I had questions with lesson plans, she would help me. She would literally come and demonstrate how to do the lesson. She would move chairs around and say, okay, now you can do this, now you can do that. My mentor would buy me smoothies. Honestly, this year was just a gift. I had the best team members. Not only did I have Mr. Blount, but I had Mr. K. I also had Mr. Webb. I'm revealing people's names, but those were the best teams. They were very supportive. Anything that you needed. If my class was giving me trouble, I remember, my class will give me problems, will challenge me. And, if I called parents will be like so mad and do all these things. So I just learned to adapt to the situation. The kids would answer back and do this and do that. And one day, Mr. Webb heard it. He was passing by and he was hearing that I was trying to speak to a student, but a student was talking back. Mr. Webb came in and he reprimanded that kid. And that kid never misbehaved again. So I appreciated how supportive they were. I appreciated how God sent all these people to be my support system. So, yeah, all this is a gift from God. It's so different from last year. That's what God does when we pray to Him. So, the last thing I'd like to talk about is the leadership positions from last year to this year. Last year, we had a man principal and 3 woman assistant principals. This year, we had a woman principal and 3 woman assistant principals. So there were 4 women this year. I'm talking about gender because innately, women and men have different roles that they play and contribute in society, right? So women are more of the nurturers. And they love kids and they take care of it. They take care of kids and they nurture kids. And that is really what my principal this year did. She showed us the value of kids. Well, personally for me, she showed me that kids have value. That kids really don't really mean what they behave, right? So whatever they do, it's because they are really just kids who are going through the most. And it helped me realize the worth of kids, the worth of my students. Instead of thinking that I'm on a high pedestal, she helped me be able to nurture my students and to come with a servant role to my students. So this is why I believe that more women should take leadership positions in schools. Because as women, we are the gatekeepers of society. We have more boundaries. We are not easily manipulated. Unlike men's role innately, I'm not just talking about the school system, I'm just talking about in general. In general, men not only protect kids, but they want to make sure that everyone around them is okay, while women cannot be manipulated into doing that. So my principal from last year, his concern was us, the teachers. If anything ever happened to his teachers, he was there to defend us. And sometimes I think that will produce a bit of narcissism tendencies in teachers, although he meant good, because he wants us to be okay, to feel safe. That's what masculine men do. But for people like us, it made me feel like I'm more special and I know that there's somebody protecting me. Whereas this year, the principal showed that it's not only you who have worth or value, the kids do too, and we are here in school to serve their kids. That really helped me a lot, and it really helped ease most of my problems. That I'm not here to compete with kids, I'm not here to fight with kids, I'm here to serve my kids. And that's what my principal instilled in me this year. The leadership this year was very supportive of each other. You could just sense and see the unity that they had. There was like laughter and humor and a lot of support, a lot of boundaries that they had. And that is what I really admired them. Beautiful women who wear makeup. They don't have time to be jealous of you. They don't have time to worry about you. They just believe that you will do your job. The principals and, the admin this year, they were not trying to portray an image that they are perfect or they are here to save you or anything. They became real. They came as human beings. And that's really what I liked about them. So I really appreciate that the principals, principals change and go. That's how it is here in America. But from each principal, you learn something new. And I learned a lot from my previous principal. I learned a lot from this year's principal. And I'm excited also about next year.